These are my top 5 tips on how I get a flat stomach within just 1 week and how I maintain a flat stomach for the long term. I believe that these tips can help you achieve a flat stomach within a short period of time, and if you continue to implement them, they will just further flatten your stomach over the long haul. So let's jump into the video. The number 1 tip is don't drink anything except for water. It took me a really long time to figure out that water is probably the number 1 thing in terms of health, no matter what you're trying to accomplish. I used to try to stuff my face with healthy foods, and then over time I realized that the easiest thing I can do is just to drink water, and most people do not drink enough. So water is really important for digestion, which is going to in turn give you a flatter stomach. You'll have an easier time digesting food and then eliminating waste from your system. What I recommend and what I loosely follow on a day-to-day basis is first thing in the morning I will drink 32 ounces of water, and I will take lemon slices and add that into my water. I will drink that before I eat anything, and then I usually try to drink another 32 ounces of water before lunch and another 32 ounces of water before dinner. And that's about 96 ounces of water in the whole day. I usually end up having another 32 ounces, especially if I have a good workout and I'm really thirsty from my workout, because you eliminate water when you do work out. Drinking water is just huge, and that is just the best tip that you can add into your daily routine. I always have a water bottle with me, pretty much 24/7, just always have water. I realized that going from virtually no water to then drinking a bunch of water can be really challenging, but if you're really looking to do this within a short period of time, then I would just go for it. And to be fair, you can have some caffeine if you need caffeine. If you are having caffeine like coffee, the only thing that I would maybe add is a low sugar milk. Oat milk, rice milk, soy milk, almond milk, any type of those milks, just lower sugar content, and don't add any fun stuff. Even if it's stevia or Splenda, just eliminate those things from your diet for 1 whole week in order to achieve a flatter stomach. Tip number 2 is to eliminate processed foods completely from your diet. Now, I am a fan of processed foods. They taste delicious. Processed food usually includes chips, dips, sodas, pre-made dinners, ice cream, cookies. If you can take it and just eat it immediately, or you just have to pop it in the oven and heat it, it's probably a processed food, because they are usually more broken down. They're pre-prepared foods that have been chopped up and mixed with other ingredients. Your body oftentimes can more easily digest those because they've already been processed. Ergo, processed food. It ends up being a smaller volume of food in your stomach, and you actually end up being more hungry because you aren't filling up your stomach as much with high water content foods like whole foods. Processed foods usually have a lot of added ingredients, whether they're artificial or they're really high in sodium, which is kind of the part 2 to this tip number 2, is to eliminate sodium from your diet. So by getting rid of processed foods, you're also eliminating a lot of sodium. So sodium is really important. A good balance of sodium and potassium actually keep you hydrated, but too much sodium is really bad on your system. It contributes to high blood pressure, and it actually retains a ton of water in your system. But if you are more athletic and you work out a ton, then you do need a little bit more sodium. But in whole foods, there is actually sodium naturally present, so you actually don't need to add salt to your foods, because if you are eating whole foods, which leads into tip number 3, is to eat whole foods. If you're eating whole foods, you're going to naturally get some sodium in there, but they're going to be at healthy levels. So a whole food is just one ingredient. If you're buying something in a package that has more than one ingredient, it is not a whole food. It should only have one ingredient. Pretty much for 1 week, you want to eat 100% whole foods that have high water content or moderate amounts of fiber. So with flattening your stomach, you don't want to be eating foods that are crazy high in fiber. And foods that are crazy high in fiber are say beans. Those contain a ton of fiber, and it can bloat your stomach, especially if you're not used to eating them a lot. I love beans and I eat them all the time, but if I'm trying to achieve a flat stomach for an event or something, I will not eat beans. So you want to eat foods that are more moderate in fiber, like fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, grains, and then just avoiding really high fiber foods like beans. So with plant foods, with whole, natural, fresh plant foods, you are going to get some water content in there naturally. Dried stuff like oats are not going to have water content, but usually add water in them to cook them and eat them. Same as tip number 1, water is just so important for digestion and just flushing everything out. I'm also going to be doing a video on what I eat in a day on how to achieve a flat stomach in a week. So if you want practical examples on how to get this flat stomach based off of all the tips that I am saying, make sure to hit subscribe and that notification bell to get notified of when I post that video. So on top of adjusting your diet, including high, watery, whole foods and eliminating processed salty foods, tip number 4 is doing ab work. Doing ab work is really just going to obviously build muscle. When you work your obliques and your just entire core, you actually are contracting it in like a corset, and that is in turn going to make your stomach flatter. So working your muscles brings everything in. Pull me in, pull me in. I don't know. Stupid. Cut that out. I actually have a ton of videos on ab workouts, so you can either follow me on Instagram or do follow along videos with me on all of my ab workouts in order to achieve that flat stomach really quick. Tip number 5, doing high intensity interval training is amazing for burning fat, especially in your stomach. It actually tightens your core too just by doing HIIT workouts, whether it's sprinting or doing a variety of different movements that you're getting your heart rate up and then you're bringing your heart rate back down. That's like the magic key for fat loss when it comes to exercise, is getting your heart rate up and then bringing it back down, back up, back down, back up, back down. I also have a series of HIIT workouts on this channel that you can follow and achieve a flatter stomach in a shorter period of time. If you have more questions on, something specific in a tip that I gave, just let me know in the comments below and maybe I can make more videos about that. So if you have any questions, bring them my way. So I hope that these tips will help you achieve a flatter stomach, that you implement them into your daily life. Of course, I eat processed foods. Some days I work out, some days I don't. But if you want to get faster results, if you really want that flat stomach in 1 week, then I highly recommend implementing these tips pretty strictly throughout 1 full week to achieve great results. If you need some practical visual example of what to eat for breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, I will be making that video on what I eat to achieve a flatter stomach. So make sure to hit that notification bell and I will see you in the next video. All right, done.